It's time for the whole 9 yards. Hello again, everyone. Welcome to a special postseason edition of the whole 9 yards. With so much good news to share, we just couldn't stay away. So it's your post-Thanksgiving episode. After all, we have an FCS Playoffs victory to dissect. We have a long list of national awards finalists to recognize. There is a lot of work to be done. Let's get right to it. We'll kick it off by talking playoffs in our opening drive. It's hats off to the Duquesne Dukes for becoming the second Northeast Conference team to win an FCS Playoffs game. We'll have more on that big win in a few moments, but first, let's rewind to Week 12. You'll remember that the Dukes secured the NEC's automatic bid in dramatic fashion. Daniel Parr and Nahari Crawford teamed up for what is possibly the play of the year in the final minute of the regular season finale at Central Connecticut State. The 38-31 victory gave the AQ to the Dukes, and as the NEC's automatic qualifier, Duquesne earned a first-round date with Towson, an at-large selection out of the Colonial Athletic Association. Led by CAA Offensive Player of the Year Tom Flacco, Towson was a prohibitive favorite heading into the game, but as it turned out, Flacco and the Tigers were overshadowed by the NEC co-champs and their NEC Offensive Player of the Year. In the end, it was a 31-10 road win for the Dukes. It was the NEC's first playoff victory since Wagner took care of Colgate back in 2012. Now some key takeaways from Duquesne's historical win over Towson. Well, first and foremost, the Dukes won the battle in the trenches on both sides of the ball. Their veteran-laden offensive line established the line of scrimmage throughout the ball game, and running back A.J. Hines ran wild. The NEC Offensive Player of the Year and a finalist for the Walter Payton Award. You'll hear more about that later in the show. Hines went over the 200-yard mark for the 5th time in his last 6 games. Hines and backup tailback Daquan Worley both ran for scores against Towson, and then Hines went 71 yards for the go-ahead touchdown on a screen pass, and the Dukes led the rest of the way. Just as impressive was the Dukes' defensive performance at Towson. Duquesne limited the CAA's top-scoring offense to its lowest offensive output of the season. Only 10 points, 357 yards. To put it in perspective, Towson gained 410 yards against Wake Forest. They went for over 500 against JMU, and they went for over 600 against the Citadel. But in the FCS first round against the Dukes, a season low 357 yards. It was a complete team effort on the defensive side of the ball. Safety Abner Roberts with 3 tackles for loss. Cornerback Jonathan Estachi, 3 pass breakups. Reed Harris and Duke Croce got into the act. Mike O'Malley and the boys up front were solid as well. And before we close the book on this big playoff win, we have to talk about the play. It was the turning point. Towson holding a 10-0 lead in the second quarter, looking for more. First and goal inside the Duquesne 5. After a timeout, Brandon Stanback with the play of the day, forcing the ball free. Duquesne recovers. They tacked on a field goal before the end of the first half and then rolled to 28 unanswered second half points. It all started with Stanback's big hit against Towson running back Shane Simpson. That is what you call an NEC prime play. Let's check in on the NEC stock market, and I'll tell you whose value is on the way up. This stock rising segment is dedicated to the NEC's 6 national finalists for the Stats FCS Legacy Awards. In existence for more than 30 years, the Stats FCS Legacy Awards have annually honored the top performers from the football championship subdivision. Of course, the granddaddy of them all, the Walter Payton Award, named after sweetness. It goes to the top offensive player in the FCS. There's the Buck Buchanan Award, the Jerry Rice Award, and of course, the Eddie Robinson Coach of the Year Award. The NEC has finalists in all 4 categories. The aforementioned A.J. Hines is up for the prestigious Payton Award, as is Wagner's senior running back, Ryan Foles. Foles, over 1,780 rush yards this season, the second most on the FCS leaderboard. 2 NEC linebackers are in the running for the Buck Buchanan Award. There's Bryant's Tom Costigan. He was the 2017 NEC Defensive Player of the Year, and as a senior in Smithfield, he totaled more than 100 tackles. Then there's Wagner Jr. Cameron Gill. He led the NEC with 13.5 sacks. His 24 tackles for a loss are second most in the FCS. As for the Jerry Rice Award, which goes to the top freshman in Division I FCS, the NEC is represented in that category by Sacred Heart running back Julius Chestnut. Chestnut, the NEC Offensive Rookie of the Year. In 3 separate games, he ripped off 70-yard touchdown runs. And finally, Duquesne's Jerry Schmidt is up for the Eddie Robinson Coach of the Year Award. Schmidt has coached his team to 9 victories already this season. It's the 4th consecutive year that the Dukes have won at least 7 games. The Dukes lost only once to an FCS opponent this season. That was a 21-20 setback to Bryant in October. The team has not lost since. Certainly a well-deserved nomination for Jerry Schmidt, as well as all 6 of the NEC's national finalists for the FCS Legacy Awards. That's amazing, bro. It's a 2-for-1 this week. A stat and then a fact. First, the stat, and it comes from my review of the NEC statistical leaderboard. It's the aforementioned Jonathan Estachi, Duquesne's first-team All-NEC cornerback. Well, I mentioned that he had 3 pass breakups in the win over Towson, but what really impressed me was the fact that Estachi has been a takeaway machine this season. He leads the NEC with 4 interceptions. Then he ranks 3rd amongst league leaders in forced fumbles. Yes, a cornerback with 3 forced fumbles this season. That's pretty impressive. In fact, stats amazing. Now, the fact. Looking at the FCS first round schedule, you will notice that 7 of the 8 games were won by the home team. Only one road team triumphed in the FCS first round, and that was none other than the Duquesne Dukes. They won on the road to clinch the NEC title at Central Connecticut, and they followed it up with the only road win in the FCS first round. Duquesne Dukes getting it done on the road. Stats amazing. Before we end this episode of the Whole 9 Yards, a little more knowledge to drop in the Did You Know? Did you know that NEC has 8 student athletes who have earned Google Cloud Academic All-District status this season? In order to be eligible for the Google Cloud Academic All-District teams, one must carry a GPA of no lower than a 3.3 on a 4.0 scale, and that student athlete must be a regular contributor on game days. There are 8 in the NEC who meet that criteria this season. Wagner, St. Francis U, and Duquesne all had 2 selections apiece. Meanwhile, Sacred Heart's Andrew O'Neill, with his 3rd straight academic all-district selection. Robert Morris linebacker Adam Wallet, he was an academic All-American last year, and he's up for that honor again this season. All 8 academic all-district honorees will now go on to the national ballot and are eligible for academic All-America honors. Shout out to the NEC student athletes. So that'll do it for this special edition of the Whole 9 Yards. Just a reminder that the Dukes season continues this week at South Dakota State. It'll be the 2nd ever playoff matchup between an NEC member and a team from the Missouri Valley Football Conference. It's Saturday, December 1st. You can watch it unfold on ESPN3. Let's hope the Dukes can keep it rolling and make it 7 in a row in Brookings, South Dakota. As for us here at NEC headquarters, it's been a wonderful football season. We appreciate you joining us here on Front Row throughout the fall. For the Whole 9 Yards, I'm Ralph Ventre. Until next time, let's go Dukes.